Purdue Stand-Up Comedy Club Open Mic, the first one of the semester. I will be your host tonight. My name is Avery Schaefer. Before we get started, a couple quick notes on the format of tonight's show. Tonight is an open mic, which means that anyone can come up and perform. Because of that, we do not review material before people come up here, and as a effect of that, I would just like to mention that the club as a whole does not endorse the opinions of anyone that is performing. Those opinions stated are entirely their own. So now that all the boring stuff is out of the way, let's get started, shall we?
Yeah!
So you guys know how there are like snobs for things like beer, wine, movies, stuff like that, right? Like the type of people who will tell you how the film industry is dying because Glass Onion wasn't nihilistic, or how Fast and Furious 9 pales in comparison to true cinema, like some French film that you've never heard of. But that got me thinking, what if there were snobs for like more hardcore things? Like meth. Like they buy meth and they're just sitting there like, yes, the light blue hue does indicate some quality craftsmanship. They like open it, smell it, and it's just, I can smell you use the off-brand antifreeze here. So I will unfortunately have to deduct some points for taste. They like yank one of their teeth out, dip it in the bag, just, yes, the proper amount of yellowing. And then they just smoke it and are just, yep, that's meth. They're like the Anthony Fantano of drugs. Just, I'm gonna give this a light to medium 7. I'd imagine if enough of these people got together, they would make like a sort of Yelp for drugs, where they can like get together and share their reviews and experiences and everything. Like this. I'd imagine one of the comments would be like, the product was good and the high felt great, but I did get robbed and stabbed during the deal. 3 stars. And then if dealer's rating was high enough, they would get like their version of a Michelin star, like a Heisenberg star. Like this how you be pulling up to a 3 Heisenberg star crack house. You pull up in your finest 1998 Toyota Corolla with a brand new wood pallet strapped to the door and fresh trash bags where the back window would be. You're celebrating this occasion. You park in the valet spot and the valet guy gets into your car, but instead of parking your car, it's just a crackhead stealing your catalytic converters. Don't worry though, don't worry. That's why you brought your finest box cutter. You sit down on the nice, semi-dry, reserved piece of sidewalk that they had set aside for you, and pick up the piece of cardboard that they bothered to write the menu on. Of course, the entire thing is in French. And here's an example of the menu. Just for starters, you have marijuana, smoked or gelatinous. For the main course, cocaine, snorted, not stirred. And then for dessert, Narcan, with a side of chocolate cake. And then the waiter brings out your selections on his brand new, newly stolen golf cart, fresh from the country club. And then lastly, the receipt. Written on the back of last week's already thrown away newspaper. It's not asking for money, but 4 catalytic converters. You see another shitbox pull into the valet, and then you pull out your box cutter and head on over, knowing how you're going to pay for your meal. And that's going to be all for me tonight, guys.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Yeah.
Good. The other day, I saw an Amber Alert for an electric vehicle. They said the suspect was charged with battery, and the victim died so wants to deal with that. That's got to be the most privileged abduction of all time, though. Like, most abductions happen like a really shitty tan car, but you're just in the safest vehicle of all time. Like, imagine getting thrown into the trunk and all you can think is, man, it is pretty quiet back here. The other day I passed a church with a neon open sign. I thought that was pretty weird. If they wanted a more accurate sign, they should get one that says, famously pretty close-minded. My mom doesn't really understand my major. The other day she found my bong, and I told her it was my lab kit. She asked what class it was for. I said, THC 420. My dad doesn't really care that I smoke, though. Sometimes he even helps me get away with it. Like, the other day, I smoked in my car, and I came right inside, and my mom just asked my dad if he farted. And my dad shot me a look right away, and he goes, yeah, I farted. Excuse me. And then I panicked and yelled, I also farted! And I ran in my room and cried. It shouldn't worry, though. I don't really do a lot of crazy stuff when I smoke. Like, a lot of people like to do stuff when they smoke, like go to the bar, or the club, or Walmart. But when I smoke, I like to do stuff like sit down and chew gum, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it like totally occupies my brain, you know? Like, my house could be burning down to the foundation, and I'd just be sitting in my chair like, man, I fucking love spearmint. I'm gonna blow a bubble. And then it pops, and I piss my pants a little bit. Weed gives me a stomach ache, though, and a lot of my stoner friends tell me that I just need to smoke more. But I think that's pretty crazy, because, like, we don't do that when other stuff hurts your stomach. Like if sourdough bread makes your stomach hurt, no one tells you to try a wedding cake. But if sour diesel makes your stomach hurt, they try to tell you to try wedding cake OG. Like, no, man, I'm gluten-free, and I definitely don't want any of your fucking brownies. I recently tried anal for the first time. It's like a 6.5 out of 10. Rotten dingleberries. It was just okay, though, to be honest. Like, it kind of reminded me of the first time I bought skinny jeans. Like, yeah, they're tighter and all, but the older ones are just way easier to get into. And after a while, one of my legs goes numb anyway, so... I actually think that might be my last joke. So, thank you guys.
Yeah!
Hi, can everyone hear me? I'm Hannah. I'm new to West Lafayette and also this. So a bit about myself. I'm a recovering extrovert. What does that mean? Well, when you have the urge to talk to any approachable stranger, you get in situations where neither of you want to be there anymore. What does that mean? Well, I'll give you an example. I was on a plane one time and flying over Philadelphia, and they have a river. And I didn't know much about Philadelphia, so I asked them what river that is. The guy next to me, he seemed like a prime conversation target. And so he was like, oh, Delaware. And then I kept going, pushing it and asking like, oh, what brings you to Atlanta, where we're flying? And he was saying he was there for business or for work. And I asked, oh, what do you do for work? He was like, sales. And as he says this, I'm staring eye contact at the Delaware River and be like, oh, that's really cool. I've never met anyone that works at sailboats. And I'm not even joking. I was very ecstatic. Like, what kind of boats do you work on? What's your favorite material to make sails with? And this man just looks at me a little awkwardly. And, he finally just said, no, I just sell stuff for a company. And he just pretended to sleep the rest of the flight. It was like a 2-hour flight. Yeah. And then to make matters worse, as I'm getting off the plane, shuffling around, I dropped something under my seat, so, doing the little, trying to figure out where my stuff is. Once I finally find it and grab it, I realize it's wet and wiggles, it was the guy behind me's socked foot. I've been just baking under the chair for the past 2 hours. And so that's why I don't go on planes anymore. I try to drive, but to be honest, I'm almost 23 and I'm on to my 3rd driver's permit. You know, every 2 years they're meant to expire and you're meant to get your driver's license. I haven't done that. I just kept getting a new learner's permit. And, you know, my family's late bloomers. None of us have gotten our license before the age of 20, and so it was kind of normal. I haven't really thought about it, but then I was at Christmas Eve dinner the other night, and there were some family friends, and someone said, or my brother said, like, oh, when are you getting your license? Are you finally going to get your license next year? And the family friend was like, oh, what are you getting your license in? I have to admit, it was a driver's license, because at this age it should be, oh, maybe accounting or taxing, but, you know, I'm just a bit behind. But I like to think it's a bit strategic, because instead of them thinking I'm ahead of the curve, maybe by the age of 40 is when they'll finally ask her, oh, you gonna get married? You know? The milestones are a bit pushed back. But yeah, that was my jokes.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for coming out. You guys are awesome. I live with roommates, and one of them is not very good at cleaning up after himself. So I was really getting on his ass one day about it, and he told me, Jacob, if you care so much, you should just do it yourself. And that really caught me off guard, because that is exactly what my girlfriend says whenever I tell her to put a finger in my butt. My girlfriend's got her share of sexual issues, though. She gets really turned on when she's stressed out. And sometimes it's fine. Sometimes I'll play into it a little bit. Like, it'll be the morning, she'll be getting ready to go, and I'll hide her car keys. She's flipping the room upside down, trying to find them. Jacob, do you have them? Do you have my keys? Are they in your pockets? Get up. Left pocket, right pocket, back pocket. All of a sudden, I've got hands on my ass and a tongue down my throat. Or like, we'll be laying around on our phones, and I'll say, hey babe, you see that Tennessee wants to ban all abortions after 2 weeks? She'd be like, 2 weeks? 2 weeks? That's not even enough time to miss your period. Nobody knows they're pregnant at 2 weeks. Pregnant, 2 weeks. I want to be pregnant. But it's gotten to the point where the easy stuff doesn't work anymore, so I've had to get a little more extreme. Right? She lives in the sketchy part of Chicago. So I went outside and I found the first guy I could see that looked like he could be in a gang, right? Imagine him. You know, muscles, tattoos, cigarettes. You're waiting for me to say a race, but I'm not going to do it. You demonize whoever you want to demonize. I'm imagining a skinhead. His name's probably Cletus. I went outside, I found Cletus, and I went up to him and I said, sir, I'm not assuming that you own a gun. But if you did own a gun and I gave you this $100, could you maybe arrange for the gun to go off around that apartment building at 10 o'clock tonight? And then he punched me in the face and kneed me in the balls and ran off with my $100. So that plan was a bust. But then I got home and I had a black eye, and that stressed my girlfriend out. Those hips did not lie. It would have been a great time if White Power Cletus hadn't just destroyed my testicles. You guys have been great. I'm Jacob Stout.
Much shorter than the last comic. I was peer pressured into doing this tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm from the worst state in the entire country. That's right, the big OHIO. And I'm from also the worst city in the entire state. That's right. I live 20 minutes from the epicenter of the timeline collapse. That's right. My zoo is where Harambe died. I worked there for a summer. Well, that really worked. I didn't get paid. I volunteered to clean up animal shit in the nocturnal house. But I worked there with, late at night when they were excited and erratic. And the thing about animals is when they get sick, they pull their hair out. Like, I don't know. Imagine if you got sick, like you got the stomach flu and you're bald by the next day. That would suck. Because I've gotten the stomach flu at least 4 times in the last 5 years. I'm not bald, I just have a beanie on. But we had this one animal. It was a bush baby. They're very cute, very small. But one of them was sick, and so my mentor, Mike, had to go in and get it. Now Mike is he's a little pussy scaredy pants kind of guy. We're working in a zoo, but he was like, "I'll go get it. You stay here. If anything happens, stay here." So he goes in, and I'm just standing there, and I just hear a clusterfuck of different noises, like. And then Mike comes running out, slams the door, looks at me and goes, "Call Steve, right now." Now Steve is the most interesting man I've probably ever met in my life. Steve walks in, sideways baseball cap, jorts, boots made from leather, from a leather hide that looks kind of like the rhino that went missing the other day. Steve, smoking a lit cigarette inside, looks at Mike and goes, "The bush baby?" And Mike goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Give me a minute." Hands me the lit cigarette, takes the sack, walks in, and all we hear is, "Ah!" And he comes out 2 seconds later with the bush baby in the back going crazy like a cartoon animal, takes the cigarette from me and goes, "Cheers, lads," and walks out. All right, that's enough for me tonight.
Hello, hello, hello. Can everyone hear me? I'll take that as a yes, because honestly I don't want to adjust it.
I can hear you.
Hi, how is everybody after Christmas break? Everyone excited to be back on campus?
Oh!
Yeah, me neither. Okay. Well, honestly, I am actually kind of glad to be back on campus because it's very peaceful here in comparison to pretty much every other place I've been in my life, especially my hometown, considering the fact that both my parents are absolute nut jobs, and then I'm not really used to getting quiet time around them. But, you know, we had a really good time over Christmas break. You know, we decided to take a little impromptu trip to New Orleans to celebrate my stepdad getting a promotion at work. Yeah, good for him. He's pretty awesome. But, the bad thing about New Orleans for us is, well, he can't really seem to take a trip there without getting hit on by a man at some point. Which is really funny, because the first time we went there, we were actually right past Bourbon Street. We were walking down to Louis Armstrong Park. You know, it was pretty dark. It was just 13-year-old me, 13-year-old sister, and my mom, and my stepdad. The thing about my stepdad, he's built like a shit brick house, and looks just a little bit like a skinhead if he actually had hair. He's a great man, though, I promise. And we were walking down the street just perpendicular to Bourbon Street, going down to the park, and then this man, dressed in nothing but denim jorts, rainbow suspenders, and a very wide, creepy smile, looks over at my stepdad and says, "Hey, honey, what you doing here?" And then we proceeded to try and walk past and ignore everything that he just said. However, he proceeded to keep talking and introduce himself as the pub tramp of New Orleans. Self-titled, yes, just a little bit cringy. But he would not leave us alone for the longest time, which is weird considering the fact that you had 2 mousy pre-teenagers trying to run away from you as fast as possible while you were sexually harassing my stepfather. And then it happened again just a few weeks ago. We were at a cafe, getting some coffee, getting some beignets, yeah, good shit. And then we had to take a piss, a fat one, a horse piss, if you will. Walking to the bathroom, everything was fine for me, except the fact that all the locks on the bathroom stalls were broken, everything was rusty, and if I set foot near anything in that vicinity, I'd likely get tetanus. Thankfully, I touched nothing and stepped immediately out of the bathroom. My stepdad walked into the men's room, and then was immediately met with a homeless man bathing himself in the sink. And then the man looks over at him. "Hey, sweetie, what can I get for you?" Yeah. It was really fun. We kind of walked straight out of there, and I met him outside, and I was like, "Hey, how was your piss?" And he was like, "Not good. a man called me sweetie. And I was like, again? Why can't you go anywhere without getting called sweetie? Yeah, it was a really good trip. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. And there was this really big church in Jackson Square that we really wanted to go see. Only problem is you couldn't see the inside of it unless you were going in for Catholic Mass. Such starts my only experience with a Catholic Mass. Directly after the death of Pope Benedict XVII. I did not know he died. We walked in for Mass, and I could immediately feel the judging glares of every devout Catholic in the building, looking at me, temptress, if you will, in my Nike shorts, and my chunky sneakers, if you could call them chunky. We left immediately, considering everyone was wearing all black, and I was terrified. That's pretty much all I have, but thanks, everyone.
Let's give it up one more time for Madison. All right, before our next performer here, I do have a couple of quick announcements. It's a little halftime show. If you are enjoying this performance so far, you can visit us on Instagram at Purdue Suck. That's at Purdue SUCC. We post all of our events there, and we got a lot of fun events coming up this semester. We'd love to have you at that. So to find out where and when our events are, follow us on Instagram. That's at Purdue SUCC. Additionally, we do have our call out on Thursday. This upcoming Thursday at 7:30 in Physics 112, I believe. Check the Instagram again for more details on that. But halftime is boring. Let's get back to some more comedy, shall we? Yeah! All right, and to bring us out of this halftime break, he is back in the United States and better than ever. It's Vaishak.
Please sit down. Thank you. Damn, got the fire hazard formation going on here. Yeah, my name is Vaishak. I just came back from studying abroad in Spain. A lot of people warned me, you know, that Europe is a little like racist and stuff, but I didn't really think it was. You know, I thought it was pretty chill, actually. It was like kind of anti-American though. You know, people didn't really like Americans there, and that actually kind of made me more patriotic. I'm barely fucking American, but really adopted the American identity while I was there. You know, high-fiving people on subways, naked, wearing onesies. You know, the usual. Even in the classroom, you know, other people would be like, yo, can I use pens on the exam? Can I use calculators on the exam? And then I just have like my semi and my 22. I'm like, can I use both? Yeah, people are crazy, yeah. My roommate, he was this like 30-year-old gay German dude. He sounded exactly what you think he sounds like, you know, kind of like an eccentric Hans Zimmer. It was kind of cool. He liked to listen to techno while cooking. But he was vegan, so it was fine. Yeah, and then I came back. I was eating Subway the other day. Somebody called me the N-word. It was crazy. If you ever want to hate crime an Indian dude, by the way, Subway's the perfect place to go. Take out a couple vegetarians. Get rid of the worst first, you know. But hey, I wasn't even really mad that the dude was racist. You know, he just didn't really look like a racist. It was a little confusing. Like, it would be one thing if you drove like a Toyota Tacoma, wore camo overalls, like, you know, I would kind of expect it, but this guy had like earrings, you know, he looks like he drank Michelob. He walked out, he got into like a tie-dye Toyota Prius, and he drove away. I couldn't even hear him because it was a fucking electric car, you know? It was horrendous. Yeah, anyway, that's all I have, guys. Thank you.
I was just trying to gauge how noisy it actually is. What's your name? You're Connor? Okay, be honest with me, Connor. Has anyone called you handsome today?
No.
I don't want to get your hopes up. I'm just kidding. So, I wasn't here last semester. It's good to be back. The reason I wasn't here was I was actually on an internship. It was pretty satisfying, actually. I got to work with a lot of minors. There was a lot of grinding and tapping, and, you know, I'm not proud of myself, like, had to get my hands dirty. Sometimes had to get both my hands dirty. But I mean, I guess that's what you expect from every mining company, right? Yeah. But I had to travel a lot for my internship, and I have a major problem, guys. So every time before I board my flight, I love watching air crash investigation documentaries. I don't watch it any other time, but just when I'm waiting to board my flight, I watch air crash investigation documentaries and compare it to what's happening on my plane. So there's this one particular documentary of a Japanese airline that crashes. So the video starts and then the plane takes off, it reaches cruising altitude, and then a child gets up, goes, talks to the air hostess, and then a very old Japanese man gets up, pulls his suitcase out of the overhead cabin, takes his laptop out, and just when he's putting the suitcase back, boom, a bomb explodes and the plane crashes, right? So I watch this video, and then I go, I take my seat. Plane takes off, we reach cruising altitude, and then a child gets up, goes and talks to the air hostess. Air hostess makes a call. A very old man gets up, pulls his suitcase out, and when he's putting it back, boom! He fucking drops his suitcase. I'm there screaming like a bitch, like, now my biggest worry is that they're gonna make a documentary on me, right? So the documentary is gonna start like, on the 22nd of December 2022, disaster was waiting to strike. On flight 123 was a pussy. Then they're gonna have like a typical brown guy, like, give the interview. It's like, oh my god, ding ding, I was so scared that day, oh my god. Like, yeah. So, but I'm not too worried because my image in the airport's already pretty fucked, you know? Because this one time I was flying and the air hostess came by and she was like, would you like anything to drink? And I said, I'll have a Coke. And she goes, cola? I was like, yeah, like Coca-Cola, of course. Like, why are you offering cocaine? She wasn't, sadly. So that was the first time I fucked up in the airport. The second time, and a lesser known fact for some of y'all, do you all know that toilet paper is a very Western concept? So people in the East don't use toilet paper, they use water. And I'm from India. So, the first time I was flying to the States, I boarded the plane, of course. I went to the bathroom, and I saw toilet paper. I was like, holy shit, they have arts and crafts on the plane. Like in-flight entertainment in the bathroom. So, I decided to do some crafts, you know, to kill some time. And I thought I'd make a drawing of myself. So, I needed like a brown crayon to draw myself. And they had the paper, they didn't have the crayons, right? So I hit the assistance button, and the air hostess came. She was outside the door. And I was like, I can't find my brown crayon. And she just goes, is this a medical emergency? I was like, no, I can't find my brown crayon. And she's like, have you looked in your pants? It's like, what are you talking about? I can't find my brown crayon. And the next thing I know, she's
I shot a kid's funny. You guys are a weird crowd. I can't really get a read on you. I feel like I need to introduce myself a little bit, though. So a little confession about me. I own this exact shirt in 13 different colors. It's the only make and model I like. 2017 Aeropostale Husky. I think it's because I'm this weird size right between medium and large, you know? Like I buy a medium shirt, I got squeezed in. Look like my girlfriend's suitcase before 3 days in Miami. She gotta sit on me to zip me shut. But if I wear a large, it's like that one time I accidentally grabbed Magnum condoms. A little tiny wiener joke to start my set, that's good. Here's something a little weird. My car has this glitch where every time I drive, it alerts me that it's low on fuel, even right after I fill it up. It makes me feel crazy, because I know I just got it full. I was telling my therapist about this. She goes, Cole, this is textbook gaslighting. It's the only pun I'll do because you guys are good. You guys start being bad, only puns rest of the night. I know everybody else on this show, I'm sure they'll do puns rest of the night. Oh man. A lot of people don't believe me when I say this, but I'm not really a tough guy. I signed up for karate so I could learn Japanese. I have this weird irrational fear of getting beat up, which on any given day for me, any given week, 1%. After joining karate, chances of me getting beat up any given week, 100%. Every Wednesday, 5:30 to 8. Unfortunately, the only words of Japanese I've learned this whole time were, please don't hurt me. And my dad is stronger than your dad. Got a couple buddies from Pittsburgh. And everyone from that city is obsessed with the colors black and yellow. I couldn't really figure out why everyone likes these two colors. It's the only city in the world where all 3 professional sports teams have the same exact colors, black and yellow. I asked him what this is all about, and he said, because of the city's 446 bridges, almost all of them are yellow. And of the city's almost 300,000 people, almost all of them love sports so much they want the second color to match. Gotcha, you guys thought. I like sports, but I like them for a different reason. I like sports because I like to see how much money I can lose on 18-leg parlays. I like sports betting so much that today I was watching preseason darts while I was driving here. I like betting, but I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good with money. I blame that on going to public school. Which is kind of ironic because I think I went to public school because my dad liked to see how much money he can lose on 18-leg parlays. Public school's weird though. Basically going to public school means you put condoms on inside out. No takers on that one, alright. It's not my fault though. The person they had teaching us sex ed was also the women's gym teacher. It's not her fault. She was trying to do her job. If there's one thing I know about women's gym teachers, is that they only sleep with other women. Losing here. She doesn't want to lose her job though, right? So every year she just goes to the store, buys a banana, half watches a YouTube tutorial, and then collects her royalties from 16 and pregnant. There are tons of problems with going to a small school though. This one sticks out with me the most. I went to high school with only one.
Hey yo, a lot of people here, fire hazard. I will not play my mixtape, do not worry. I have a pet peeve, and it's a unique pet peeve. Okay, so you're going to class, you're going to cross the street. You look left, you look right, you look left again, because the crazies always come from the left. The sign is red, there's no cars. It's red so you can't go, but there's no cars, so you can go. You get ready, look cool as shit, because you're committing a crime. And you walk across like a badass. And then, the fucking sign turns green, and it starts mocking you. Martin Jishke, walk sign is on to cross. I was in the middle of a crime, okay? Look at my pasty ass. The only streets I grew up on are 3rd and Jishke. That is the only crime I'm capable of committing. And you took that away from me, and I don't... Like, it's like if you were robbing a bank, and then the cops got called on you, and they just go, yeah, you can have that. It's all good now. Actually, they just legalized all the money you're taking. You would be infuriated. Infuriated. Now, I have a solution for me and anyone else who has this problem. Whenever that happens, I stand in the middle of the road and wait for another car to come. Yeah, I stand there. Another experience some of you may have had, I think every man has a unique story about the first time they've went into a woman's restroom. This is not the first time, but the most unique. I was a wee lad in Chinatown, San Francisco with my grandmother, and they have a policy there. No using the restrooms unless you're a customer. Guess the cheapest item on the menu of every restaurant in Chinatown is 32 ounces of fucking soda. So little nine-year-old Aiden is wandering around Chinatown and goes, Grandma, I gotta take a piss. And we go to the store, she pays him $1, gets me a soda, I slam the entire thing, go pee, start walking around, soda makes you pee. A lot. 9-year-olds have to pee a fucking lot. And so that process happens. and then it happens again, and then it happens again, and then with the Sprite, and then again, and then with all the sodas mixed together, because I'm 9. And after a good number of rounds of that, the only thing in my stomach is pure energy, a gallon of soda, and a pound of General Tso's chicken. And I was sitting in the restaurant, because my grandma needed to eat dinner like a normal person, and I felt something spiritual, okay? It was as if God had sent down one of his angels to whisper into my ear, Aiden, you're gonna throw up now. 10, 9, and my vision started blurring in. It was like I was on a Japanese game show with like a timer in my brain going down. I'm like, I need somewhere that's socially acceptable to throw up. I need to go there. And I bolted, and my vision was kind of blurry, and I opened the door to something that I was pretty sure, and it was correct, looked like a restroom. And I'm like this. I'm like searching for where is the sink, where is the most socially acceptable place to throw up, and I see this lady, most beautiful lady I've ever seen. Must have been the angel that was talking to me, and she goes, "Why are you in here? What the fuck are you doing in here?" And I projectile vomited everything that was in my stomach directly onto her dress. Just all over the floor. That's my set.
Again. So, a few nights ago, I was reading Wikipedia in a bold attempt to prove that I am not illiterate, and I stumbled upon the Wikipedia article for the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK. Should be the KKC though, right? Like, silly bigots. Maybe pick up a dictionary before you start a hate organization. I don't know. I don't get the KKK. I mean, I'm sure you all know like what their deal is, and if you don't, I have a wonderful Wikipedia article for you to read. But you know, I'm reading through it and I'm wondering why. Why are the Ku Klux Klan such fucking nerds? Oh my God, they're such dorks. Alright, so get this, right? Their name. Their name is so fucking stupid. So, the first 2 words, Ku Klux. That comes from the Greek word geiklos, which means circle. So be warned, citizens! Who is riding in the town but the Circle Friends? That is the name of a PBS Kids show, not the longest running terrorist organization in the United States. Another thing that sucks are their scare tactics. Who decided that cross burning was the way to go with that, huh? You ever tried hoisting a 20-foot cross? Neither you nor Jedediah are ready to commit any hate crimes after that. You just thrown out your bag picking this fucking thing up, and you got a fucking face full of smog because the wind changed directions. It's horrible, horrible. So they have, you know, horrible outfit, horrible name, horrible tactics. They're like the antithesis to the Mean Girls. And also, unlike Regina George, they also have a horrible name. Horrible leader name, right? Get ready for this, audience. The leader of the Ku Klux Klan is known as the Grand Wizard. What the fuck? The professor of bigotry at Hogwarts doesn't play Quidditch on a fucking burning cross? What spells does the Grand Wizard cast? Segregatia! Go back to where you came from, young! Racist fireball! I don't get it, I don't get it. And like, the past 80 years haven't been very good for the Klan. They're diminishing in numbers very rapidly. They went from 6 million to 6,000. For reference, my hometown has 7,000 people, and we were not notified that we were in the path of a tornado when we were about to be hit by a tornado. Very interesting stuff. So, you know, I think we're all asking the same question here. When is the KKK gonna do their first diversity hire? They're low on numbers, and in every rendition of the Klan, I have never seen a woman under those robes. No, that won't work in modern America. It's up to the ladies to prove that they can be just as hateful as any man. Nothing will shrink the wage gap like showing your employer you can enforce Jim Crow laws just as good as anyone. No, not into that one? Ah, shit. But you know, back to where I was, you know. I hate the KKK, they should get shoved into a locker. That's why they haven't talked to anyone. They're scared to, just like me in the 6th grade. Except instead of the white robes and a belief in states' rights, I wore tearaway pants and had no idea you could give rights to a landmass. But you know, I think the future is looking bright, you know? I'm looking forward to the day where the remainder of the Klan is really just like 3 guys that live in an apartment. They're all named Rick. You know? One of them has been wearing their robes for 5 weeks and they smell like X minority doing Y racist task. That's a make your own. The other guy's about to be fired from Joann Fabrics because he keeps stealing all the whites. And the third Rick, well, he's off in Vegas spending his rent money on black strippers degrading him. They are about to be evicted. Life is good. Thank you very much.
But just to introduce myself, like you said, my name is Ray. My full name is actually Reshma, so that's R-A-E-S-H-M-A. That's pretty phonetic, right? So it's just Reshma, right? The actual Indian name way of spelling Reshma is R-E-S-H-M-A, but it's still pronounced the same way. So my parents decided to add an A just to make it easier on everyone. So I got what Hannah Montana likes to call the best of both worlds. Indians can't spell my name, Americans can't say my name, and a secret third thing called an identity crisis that has nothing to do with either of those things. So in 2nd grade, I had a teacher who obviously couldn't pronounce my name, and so she was like, "Can I just give you a new name?" And of course, I'm like 7 years old. I don't know how to tell her I'm not an abandoned puppy she found on the street and just can give a new name. But I was like, okay, maybe I'll, try a new name. I said, sure, maybe she'll give me, a cool name like Raven, or an even cooler name like Reshma, my actual name. So she looks me dead in the eye, this 7-year-old white woman, and she goes, "I'm gonna call you Ma. Ma, as in Ma and Pa, the abbreviation of Massachusetts." Or also like, "Oh my God, just call me by my goddamn name." So at this point, I'm like, oh my God, I need to do something about this. So we get to high school, right? I have a teacher who, again, the same problem. She goes down the roster. She goes, Sarah, Caroline, Jessica. And then she pauses and she squints. And you know how, like, when people are thinking really hard, you can see, like, the gears turning in their mind when they're really trying? Yeah, I wasn't seeing any of that. She goes, Reshma! And I'm like, okay. And then the next day, it's the same thing. She goes, Sarah, Caroline, Jessica. Everybody say it with me. Reshma! That's right. Okay, day 3. Again, she goes, Sarah, Caroline, Jessica. One more time.
Reshma!
Hell no, would I let her disrespect me 3 days in a row? That's right. I stood up for myself and I said, here, before she could say anything, and we moved on. Okay. So this is the time I started going by Ray. I'm like, okay, you know what? I just need to come up with a nickname. So I started going by Ray. Now we're here. I'm a senior in my last semester of college. I go into my accounting class, very, very white class, but I have a South Korean professor, so I'm like, okay, maybe luck's on my side. So he goes down the names, and he says all these Indian names correctly, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm finally going to get my name pronounced correctly. And then he stops, and he goes, okay, I think I might get this one wrong, so someone's going to need to correct me. And he looks at the roster, and he goes, Madeline? I'm like, that's a new one, okay. And I'm like, he pronounced a white name wrong? I'm like, oh my God, the reverse Uno card I could ask for. And And I'm like, maybe he will say my name right. And then he goes, Rashima? And I'm like, God damn. And I'm like, you know what? This is the true equality my parents came to this country for. My South Korean professor pronouncing Madeline and my name incorrectly. Thanks, everyone.